or friends, you should do that. And as adults, we should be doing it. You know, hold the door open for the next person. Who cares if they don't want you to? It doesn't matter. You know, don't hold the door open. I can hold my own door. But just be kind to you. And be there for you. It's okay. What people don't know is that my family, we have 7 children in the foster system. Have I taken any in? No. Do I get myself up? Sometimes. Do I have an awesome therapist? Better believe it. So, whatever you're doing, if you can be a positive influence on anybody around you, no matter who it is, you do you. Do they have to know that Miss Margaret doesn't believe in God? Nope. They don't need to know anything about me that I don't have to share with them. They asked me the other day, is there Santa Claus? I said, if you believe there is, there certainly is, because I'm expecting something from Santa. You know, they're innocent and they're kind, and if you let them be who they are, they're not doing great in math in Gilburn's class. Are they doing great in poetry? They sure are. So again, I really don't know why I'm here. These are all pretty great, and some of you are okay.
My name is Yalitza, and I'm a learning specialist and assistant professor at Lehigh Carbon Community College. I'm also in the doctoral of education program at Lehigh with Jenny. So I'm one of the first women in my family to graduate from college. On my dad's side, I am the first woman in my family to graduate from college, and it was really an uphill battle for me. And that's probably why I work in the area that I work. When I went to Rutgers as an undergrad, and after my first year, I remember I brought my report card home, and I had gotten a 2.8, and I was so disappointed. And so I showed my dad and my mom, and that was probably my lowest grades I had gotten ever, and I was really upset. And my dad and mom were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay, you know, you'll do fine. And then as I went up the stairs, I heard them say, well, it's okay, because she's going to get married anyway, she's really not going to use her education. But you have to understand, I grew up in a different culture. I came from Puerto Rico when I was 6 years old. I learned English here. My father is one of the first men in his family to go to college. It was a very different, all the women in our family all stayed at home and raised children. So it wasn't that they were trying to discriminate against me. It was just the filter from which they viewed life. And so that broke my heart. And I started going downhill my second year in college, to the point where I was about to quit. And I remember asking my mom and my aunt, you know, if they could have gone to college, and each one had a dream. My mom wanted to be a nurse, my aunt wanted to be an accountant. Even my grandmother, who was born in the early 1900s, told me of the dreams that she had had, but each one of them shared how they just, you know, had to become moms and wives. And so that weighed on me, because I felt like I had an opportunity that they hadn't had. But I think the final person who really did it for me, I went to turn in my letter to leave Rutgers to my dean, and she looked at it and she had to sign it so I wouldn't get charged. And she said no. She wouldn't sign it. And she said, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and if you do X, Y, and Z, and you still want to drop out after that, then I'll sign it. Well, I did X, Y, and Z, and then I started getting 3.0s and above every semester after that. I went on to do my master's in education law, and I graduated with highest honors from the law school, and now I'm doing my doctorate in education. None of that. My parents are very proud of me, and my dad even pulled me aside somewhere in the past 10 years and apologized. He said, I'm really sorry that we didn't support you the way we could have. We just didn't know any better. And to me, he didn't even have to apologize because I knew that already. It was just the way it was. So my goal is to empower students to succeed in the college environment. So what I do, and I've done many times, is take students from, academic probation to dean's list from one semester to another, because I believe that, we can all succeed. I work with a lot of students that have disabilities, who have to operate in different way to be able to, achieve. I work with a lot of first-generation college students and a lot of students that are adults coming back that, wanted to always go to school but never thought they had an opportunity and are now coming back. We all have to operate differently because we didn't get that traditional. So I work with them in learning how to do that and do it well. And that's my goal. That's what I do.
Thank you, everyone. I am full from your stories. I'm Phyllis Alexander, and the line that that resonated for me in the play was something like, do what you love and be where you are loved. Toward the end, or something like that. Do what you love and be where you are loved. And so that frames what I'm going to share about me. I am from Chicago. I've lived here for 30 years, but I'm from Chicago. And I grew up in a black neighborhood, and so I saw my reflection every day in my family, in the Browns, in the Gilliams, in the Bracy's, in the Thomases, in the Wilkes. I looked like them, they looked like me. And then when I was 14, my father decided he wanted me to go to a school outside of my neighborhood. And I'm like, what? And you have to take a bus, you got to walk through a couple blocks to get to the school. And the school was predominantly white. And so there's a handful of black kids and a predominantly white school. And what I noticed is that, and it's a white neighborhood, the white folks in those neighborhoods were so agitated by having these handful of black kids walk past their door that they put their homes up for sale.
Oh.
So I belong to a people that is hated that much that to walk by your door on my way to school, I'm not trying to move in, I have a home. You know, my family didn't want us to move near the high school. I have a daughter now who does that. But my family wasn't trying to move near the high school. It was perfectly fine for me to go on a bus and take a bus and walk 2 blocks to get to school. So that framed me, this hate that folks have for me, and they don't even know me. I'm just walking by your door, and you're going to put your house up for sale. Now, I come from a family where my mother said, pay no attention to civil rights. I'm 68, so this is the era of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all that. And she said, pay no attention to them, you pay attention to school. But I'm like, but wait a minute. There seems to be something else going on. But okay. So now I'm taking a history class, and it's current history. It's a white male teaching the class. And he tells us there's something going on out there. It's not just that they're putting their houses up for sale, but there are people being hosed down the street because they want to sit at a Woolworths counter. People are taking hoses, fire hoses, powerful hoses, and trying to hose them down the street because they want to have agency about where they eat. I'm like, really? These are my people. They're doing this to me. I mean, they're selling their houses because I'm walking by, but they're doing this. And so I became a civil rights activist at 14. And so do what you love and be where you love, when you don't have both, it agitates. It creates agitation. And it creates, you know, an irritation inside. And so you can either succumb to the reality that you're not where you're loved, or you're not doing what you love, or you can make the decision, I'm going to change and create the environment that is best for me. And so at 14, I made that decision. And I joined the Black Student Union, you know, and we were like ridiculous. We were 14-year-olds, we are trying to change the system. It was not pretty. But the principal retired, we graduated, I went on to college, and my math teacher, she must have been 1,000 years old. She was probably 50. But she said, you white students, you're not going to have to learn how to have good penmanship. Now this is a math class, I don't know. But you fellas, because it's a predominantly white college, you're going to have to learn how to write well so people can, because you're not going to have a secretary. You know, the white students are going to have secretaries, but you're not. You're going to have to learn how. I'm like, what is this old woman talking about? So the need to resist has been central to my life, because the racism and white supremacy that is out there is always coming at me in some kind of way. Sometimes it's benign, you know, selling the house, okay, that's on them. And other times it's more direct. You're going to have good penmanship because, you know, no one's going to work for you. So it's just always coming at me. And I have had a life of allies that make a difference. So my history teacher made a difference. Jim, I got this job after I graduated from college, and it was the worst interview ever. Why do you want to have this job? Well, I love working with people. You know, the worst answer ever. I love working with people. Anyway, they hired me. And so I'm doing my job, and I'm at the headquarters of this Fortune 500, and then there's an opening in Iowa City, Iowa for a personnel supervisor. And I'm meeting with my supervisor, and he's like, are you going to apply for the job, Phyllis? What job? The one in Iowa City, the personnel supervisor. No. And he's like, you're an idiot. I was like, what? I marched back to my seat. I got my telephone book out. There used to be telephone books. There used to be a map in the telephone book. I was like, oh, it's near Illinois. Okay, that's not too far. And I called my mom. You know, they're talking about this job in Iowa City. What do you think? Why not? I'm like, okay. Mom is an ally. Jim, this white male, is an ally. I apply for the job. I get the job. I move to Iowa City. And that puts me on this path, right? All of these decisions that you make, you have these consequences from the decisions. 2 daughters later, a husband later, based on the decision to go to Iowa City, life continues to move forward. But I have to always resist. But it was in Iowa City that I learned that the resistance also requires an internal resistance. You can't just be about resisting the white supremacy that's out there. You have to also learn how to resist the internalized racism that's in here. That I was almost 30 by the time I learned that, because I was busy resisting and pushing. But then I learned, wow, I've internalized this misinformation about what it means to be a Black African heritage female. And I just want to say, I wish I had you when I was in school. Because somebody needs to teach somebody how to be kind. But anyway, and so then at that journey in Iowa City, the crucial, most lasting impact was learning how I had to resist that which I had internalized. And so that began this dual journey of not only the resistance outside of me, but the resistance inside of me. And so what I ask of all of you is to be on that journey with me. Resist that which is within you that has you fearing me. I'm not doing nothing to you. I don't want what you have. I have what I have. I don't need your stuff. I got my stuff. So this training that you have, that I am to be feared, that I am less than, resist that training. Question that training. You know on some level that that is not right. So work with that. What is the internalized dominance that you have breathed in, that has you thinking that you are superior and that I am a threat? You know, no, negotiate that. I am not a threat. Me and my people are not threats. Now, there are some consequences to constantly telling people that they are no good. There are some consequences, because then people begin to act